Frustrated when I see you in a crowd. My eyes they go wherever. Girl, all I do is care. And when you notice, I know you would be so extra, I swear. How me supposed to feel when you're there closer? How me just can't reveal for me emotions. How me just want to see under the. All right, protege, come out of it. Yes. What up, peoples? Welcome back to the Evening People Show. Man, we're gonna have some fun this season. And I appreciate y'all for checking in. Real quick, if you are joining via Facebook, I added the YouTube link on there so you can view as YouTube as well. If you're viewing via YouTube, I always like to big up my YouTube fans. For the folks that are slow getting on, get on the man. I think I will do a business. How long me telling you what time we're going live? I have a really cool show for y'all tonight because I have a returning guest, Mr. Alfred Thomas. And last week when I was doing the season finale, I was talking about guests that were on. I stopped on Mr. Thomas for a while. I stopped on him. I stopped on Norman Grant. I stopped on my boy Noel Cunningham because they're individuals who, because of how they came up, sometimes we kind of have this stigma attached to persons and their capabilities because of how they came up. Norman Grant did home economics. He was the only one in his school at the time. Noel Cunningham was the same way. They're both top chefs right now. Noel just opened a restaurant in Toronto. My guest tonight, Alfred Thomas, came up with doing TD, industrial arts. You know what I mean? And in my time, you know what I mean, those guys used to be looked down upon as if it's because they're not as smart why they do these other things. So I gave him a shout out in last week's show because he's now the principal of Brownstown High and he's doing well. And the last time he was on the show, it's so funny. When persons talk, sometimes you can get a gist just how smart they are just by the way they say certain things and some of the words they use. And while I was talking with him, I was very impressed by him. I still am very impressed by him because he, in a very subtle way, he's his own Renaissance man. But like I said, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the Evening People Show. And you know what? I think I owe y'all a mini apology for every week that I don't have a show. I apologize because, you know what I mean? The other day I had to watch a show myself just to check myself. You know what I mean? And I watched the show. I really enjoyed the show. And I'm like, yeah, Martin, don't ever do this to the people who view your show again. Always have your show. Get out there. Say something to the people and make it nice. If this is your first time viewing the show, or if you view the show later and it was your first time, on the show, we talk to friends, we talk to professionals, we talk to people. We find out what they're doing, we find out things about them. We always have something positive to share. We always reach on poetry as well. The poetry comes from my book, which is behind me there. It's called Love, Life, Confrontation, Expressions, Selections of the Chronicles of a Black Man. Available in Jamaica in Fontana pharmacies, available worldwide on Amazon.com. Now, people in Jamaica, are not supposed to be on the road, come off of the road, curfew time, go lock up on the yard and watch the show. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest to the show, Mr. Alfred Thomas, and we're going to get right into it. Sir Thomas.
Bless up, Martin. Bless up, Martin. Thanks for having me back. Good night or good evening to your viewers. home and abroad.
It's always nice to have you, man. It's always nice to have you on the show. Like I say, you're a regular Renaissance man to me. You know what I mean? A man that does as many different things as you do, check as many boxes. For sure. I think you qualify. I think if it was back in the day, you'd have been in the history books by now as an official Renaissance man, right?
Mine, I make my head swell, Martin. Mine.
Is that, but you see,
But nice to be back. Nice to be back.
yeah, but you see, the thing is though, listen to how effortlessly I'm saying this. That's not necessarily what I genuinely think and genuinely feel. This is what I think. Anyways, we're gonna get right into it. School reopened for a few weeks, just like my intro said. School reopened for a few weeks. You have a whole high school that you're responsible for. What I want to find out is based on how COVID was going on leading up to school reopening, what were your views on school being reopened at all? And what have you been seeing for the weeks that school has been open?
All right. The reality is from what I saw happening in the summer, and from what we saw when the suggestions were made about school being reopened in September, I said it to some of my colleagues that I did not expect that school would open. Because when you saw the numbers going up, and the fact that we would have closed schools with much less numbers, then we knew that it would have been very, very difficult and risky to reopen school with the numbers that we were having. So I didn't expect school to be open. Honestly, I wasn't looking. I would have told some person I was not looking for school to be open before, until after this midterm. So we're currently in midterms. I was looking until mid to late October or early November.
Okay, but now we're up, we're running. What have you been seeing? How have the students been responding to returning to school? You know, physically being back in school.
Well, the students want to come back. The students want to come back. Most of them don't have any issues in coming back to school, because the reality is the students want to socialize. I mean, they're used to socializing with their friends. How they know school is they leave their homes and they go and they get to meet and interact with their friends at school. They get to meet up in the bus park and all over the place. So that has been a part of their culture. That's been a part of our culture. So school online is nothing that our kids are used to.
True.
Some of us as adults who studied online, we had to get used to it, much less these kids.
And a lot of those are postgraduate. A lot of them are postgraduate studies. They're not even undergraduate.
I completed my master's a couple of years ago, and I mean it pained me to have to go online to have class, and that was my first exposure to online classes. It was fully online, fully virtual, and it was a struggle for me. So you can imagine for kids who have to go on every single day. So they want to come back to school. I can give an example. We currently have our grade 11 students doing last week we had them doing the City and Girls mock exam to decide what stage for City and Girls they would be placed at based on their performance.
Right.
And we had about 90% of the grade 11 cohort coming out.
That's good.
Students who we have not seen online.
Right.
Came out. We have not seen them online from September. Some of them we have been calling, trying to have them come in from even last year. They never came in. They came to do their diagnostic test. Wow. So that shows us that they really want to come. They want to leave their homes.
It's normalcy. It's what they're used to. But here's the thing though, are those results in? And are those what we thought they would be?
All right, the CXC results you're speaking of, right?
Yes.
Well, we would have gotten our NCTV results. That we are not surprised about, because it's a lot of practical based, and some of the students would have missed a lot of time for their practical. So we had some students who did very well in some of the subject areas. Others didn't do as well. That's for the NCTV. We have not gotten our City and Girls results as yet.
Okay.
CXC came out yesterday. I have not gone online to get the summary, because normally once the CXC results come out and everybody's going on the system, it slows up the system. Yeah. So I'll be going on either tonight or tomorrow to get the summary. But I would have been getting some feedback from teachers who, because teachers are going to make postings of students thanking them for assisting them and all of that. So I've been seeing a few postings from some teachers. So we're thinking positively. We know the students were very much disadvantaged, but they have proven that they're resilient. And we're hoping that they'll do well.
Now, is online school still an option at all, or is everybody expected to be in school? Do they have that option, or is it only school is open, you need to be in school?
No.
Yes.
Online is the only option. Online is the only option for public school. Let me clarify that. For public schools, online is the only option. We are not allowed to have face-to-face. The only reason we got the special consideration for the diagnostic testing is because that's for an external exam. So the ministry gave us the go-ahead, and high schools are given the go-ahead to have that. But we have not gotten any formal go-ahead, as the Disaster Risk Management Act prohibits face-to-face classes for public schools. There are private schools who have been given permission, but they work with Ministry of Health and sort out that. But for public schools, no, we don't have permission. It's full virtual for public schools.
What are the plans that are in place for, because if you can say exams came around and we see kids we haven't seen for a long time, kids we've been trying to track down, kids we could not get a hold of, but the minute the door opened for the school, they showed up. Is that being taken into consideration at all? Is in-house school a thing that we can expect anytime coming up, or are we saying until further notice is straight online?
All right, based on, and this is based on the bulletins that would have, and the directives that would have gotten from the Ministry of Education. So this is standard information. The last major information coming out, I think last week, was that they are looking at the possibility of having primary school kids coming out for face-to-face, because it is based on the rhetoric. It's vaccine. It's dependent on the vaccination rate, but the Pfizer is for 12 and up. So the 11-year-olds who are in primary schools, because there's no vaccine available for them, there's nothing prohibiting them from attending school. So the discussion is to look at the safest way to reopen schools for those students. For us in the high school, the directive is that the school must have 65% of the school vaccinated before the students are permitted in. And I guess based on our questioning, the 65% is because that is the acceptable rate for that's the acceptable rate that is used.
Yeah, what do you call it? That herd,
herd immunity. Yeah, that was what I was searching for that word. When I say I held on my head, I was actually searching for that word. Yeah, that's the acceptable percentage for herd immunity. So reality is we're nowhere near there.
How are we? Okay, so you say you're nowhere near there. How are we collecting this data?
All right. Based on my knowledge, once the students are vaccinated, the persons who are at the vaccination site will take their names and their schools. So the Ministry of Health should have that data. We as school leaders, we have been asked to submit, to do our surveys and submit that information to the ministry.
My job is offering $200. My job offers $200 for you to get vaccinated. Just offer them.
I'm happy you mentioned that, Martin, because even in Jamaica, there are persons. Well, the government would have offered incentive. They offered incentive to, I think, persons who are 60 years and over last year, and they came under fire because persons were saying that they were basically bribing persons to be vaccinated. And then what we find happening now is that there are several private sector companies who are now giving incentives. So I think I saw one the other day with Jane, where they will give some open some account with a deposit amount for parents of for the student, for the child. So once the parent comes in with the vaccination card, then the child will get that deposit in a Jane account. And there was a gas station in St. Anne that offered 10 liters of gas for the first 30 persons who got vaccinated.
Really?
So there are private sector companies who are coming on board and giving incentives. But I realize it's standard. That's standard operating procedure in the US.
My job is giving $200 when you're fully vaccinated, not 200 per shot if you're taking like the Pfizer. Somebody tried that the first day. No, it's $200 once you're fully vaccinated. We actually started on-site testing now too, but that was mandated by the president. So I'm actually conducting tests on persons myself now at work. Anybody that's not vaccinated has to be tested once a week.
So is it that the test is but I don't know. I think the test in the US is free, right?
Well, it depends.
Or it's at the cost for the employee
and why you're getting tested. So I've actually been tested for COVID upwards of 10 times because I've traveled and I had COVID myself. So if I go there and I say I need to get a test because I'm traveling, you're gonna pay for that.
Okay.
If you go there, and
so for your company, for your job, do you have to pay for that?
No. The once a week testing, we conduct it ourselves. Like they've given me the thing to do the test. Me and my management staff conduct the testing ourselves.
So that's the difference here. One of the rhetoric, or one of the thing being put forward for persons who are not vaccinated is that they have to submit a negative COVID test result, I think weekly or every 2 weeks. But that's at the cost of the employee.
Yeah,
and it ranges between $8,000 to $15,000 for a test here in Jamaica.
I've been tested 3 times in Jamaica since COVID started, and I paid between $9,000 and $12,000 for each test.
So think about that every 2 weeks for the employees.
No, that's a lot.
So, but that is what is being said. That is what is being proposed. So,
Alfred,
so yeah.
This man say here is roommate. Do you know this man?
I can't see. I can't see that.
Alwin did that.
That's right, Michael.
Sleepy man.
Sleepy. Sleepy and I have some history, you know. No, Martin. Sleepy and I have some history, you know. Sleepy vexed with me for several years, you know.
Really? Sleepy.
Several years.
All right, so
Sleepy and his friends pull a stunt, and we had to pull another stunt on him. So for years him have me, but we're good.
Yeah, man, Sleepy a good boy. So all right, Shirley Higgins Clark is in the building. Earth Angel Mel is in the building. Alwin, like we say, is in the building. Maxi K. Bocha is in the building. Ricardo is in the building. Best up yourself, Ricardo.
Who's that? Ricardo Aiken.
That's who that is.
Watch him in a margin. It's trouble that you know. Straight trouble that you know.
I didn't realize it was him. I did not realize. Straight
trouble that.
Mel, it's good to see you in the place, Mel. Good to see you.
I Mel, boy, Mel. Man, you will lose again, boy, Mel.
But you're wearing the Man U jersey.
Yeah, man. Man U. Yeah. Mel is a big Man U fan.
Yeah, we can't par, Mel. We can't par. Next time we come to Jamaica, we find we can par. For your Man U fan, we can par at the time. All right, so let's see where we're at here now, Mr. Sir Alfred. Now, how are the parents viewing this? What are parents' views on back to school in general, on kids going back to school? Are we getting any kind of feedback from them, or what is the feedback that we're getting?
Well, the parents want the students to go back to face-to-face, because you have to understand, you know, it's stressing on them too, you know, because for the parents who have to go and leave their kids at home, I mean, they're at work and they are worried because they are concerned about what is happening at home and the monitoring of the child. And if the parent is at home, is working from home also, they have to do their job plus monitor the child online.
Right.
While once it is that their school operational, then they can send the child to school and they don't have anything to worry about because they know the child will be taken care of at school. So the parents would want them to come out, but there's also a concern with what is happening with the COVID. So their parents would have asked if they can be given the option until things, when we do decide to start face-to-face, there are some who have asked if they can get the option of doing it virtual. And if we have the capability of doing it virtually, though we're operating in the face-to-face space. So there are some, most are willing. With the?
with the teachers? Does that
In
now
terms of
double the
what?
teachers? Does that now double the teachers' workload preparing two
It's
different format of teaching for two different groups of people in the same class?
not necessarily. They wouldn't have to do that. What the difficulty is the technology required to do so. Because the simplest thing would be to have the system installed in the classroom.
Right.
So while the teacher is teaching the students before them, then the streaming of the classes can take
You
place.
pretty much, it's
So
like church. You pretty much just go on
yeah,
and you're an active member wherever you are.
yeah. So the difficulty though is to have. So let's say you have 30 classrooms. Is to have that installed in the 30 classrooms where the streaming can take place. Already at our school, we have one part of it which is in place. So we have wireless connectivity across the campus.
Mm-hmm.
So whichever classroom the teacher is in, once it is flow, is operational, and it's not. Yeah, once flow
That's
is
the
not
next
being
thing.
flow,
This is this is
once
our
flow
this
is
is our
not being
second
flow,
this is our second show, but our third attempt for the
yeah,
same reason, and that's just me
yeah,
and you trying to go live,
ah,
as opposed to an entire campus trying to
yeah.
stream wherever the kids are.
So the thing is, once it stands up, because at our school we have the e-learning fiber line there. So we have the bandwidth to have these classes taking place. So
Mhm.
the issue though is the required technology to have whether the cameras or whatever in the class to connect to
Mhm.
the internet to then connect to the Google Classroom so that they can have the live streamed classes. So
So
that would only be the
like this
hindrance.
comment is saying, I think this is why this will require a serious investment in technology by the schools. And
Definitely.
like we
And
know,
I
all
wouldn't even
schools don't.
I wouldn't even say the schools, because the schools cannot take on that financial.
It
The
has
school
to be
do
the
not
ministry.
schools do not have the financial capability to take on that, because that will require a significant investment. To
Yes.
credit the ministry, they have started a program of investing fiber line in the schools.
Mhm.
Now some schools had that in the past with e-learning. So ours was from the old e-learning. So there's now a project with NWA. They have started in Kingston and St. Andrew where they're investing and installing fiber line and upgrading the bandwidth that already exists. So they're starting with the larger schools.
Mhm.
So I think they're giving up to 250 megs to schools so that the
Okay.
entire campus,
Can be live.
can be live.
Right.
So that's a good start. But then you have to then look at the capabilities now. You will now have to now install the other equipment, the
It's a
cameras,
lot.
the laptops.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
lot of
lot.
things. It's a
It's
lot
a
of
lot.
things.
It's a lot.
I saw at a job recently. We changed. What do we change? Phone company or something like that, and they had to come in and run new setup everything, and they were in there for a minute, and money was not an issue for that size company, and it still took them a while. If money was an issue, that take them forever. Now there's a comment here saying teachers developing the skills of flipping the classroom. What is that?
I mean, interchanging from virtual
Okay.
to face to face and
I thought there
virtual.
was some sophisticated teacher jargon I wasn't familiar with.
It is, it is. So you see it is. So the constant thing is talking about flipped classroom. So basically flipping what you know to be the traditional classroom to virtual. So the ability to switch from one modality to the other.
Okay. Okay. There was some specificity about it that I didn't know.
That's it.
All right.
That's a curriculum. That's a curriculum specialist. Now. That's why you're getting those jargons
Oh,
from
I'm getting the curriculum specialist terminology.
using our curriculum language and all of us.
You see such a showing off. It's some show off thing. Mind to get yourself in trouble. That's all I'm saying. Okay, no, no. So Alfred, what are we? Tell me about something that we're not seeing. I'm a Jamaican living outside of Jamaica. Parents see one side, the layman out the street see one side, the teachers see one side, the principal see one side. Tell me about something that you are seeing I have to deal with on your end that the other variables that I mentioned would not have to deal with or wouldn't see. Those
All
are
right.
exist. What is that?
Two. I think two other things. One I think is the burnout from the staff members. There's this and I think I said it the last time. There's this misconception that teachers are operating from home, and so it is easy because they just sit down in their home and they're not doing anything. So that's a big that's one of the biggest myths about. Martin, I've been teaching from 1999 and I've never worked so hard in my life. There have been teachers who have been teaching before that who said they have not been more tired, and it is mentally draining. So I think that is one of the things that a lot of persons are not seeing, that it is rough. It is, if you do a survey, 99% of the teachers would want face-to-face school to resume once it is safe.
So persons I want to tell you, I lost a friend recently, and I don't know how I feel about losing a friend, but they took on the teacher of their class, and they were saying basically, you know, that their child was not getting the amount of attention that the child needed, and the child has all these needs and so on. And I was saying, you have to understand that we're not in a classroom where I can have the rest of class working, walk over to your child's desk and give the child whatever immediate attention that they need for a couple minutes to get them on track with the rest of the class. If I'm setting deadlines and setting things to do, I kind of expect it to be done, and I need the parents to step in and say something to me if something else is needed, so that we can work together to get the child where the child needs to be. And they couldn't see it. They were saying it's the teacher fault, the teacher should have this, the teacher should have that, the teacher should have the next thing. And
we're blamed for everything.
I can't imagine if you have 3-4 students like that in your class, or 3-4 students in your class with parents of that mindset. You have a big problem on your hands.
It's an issue. I've had cases where, because one of the things, I ensure that I have the Google Classroom code and the links for all hell no, Richie. I have the Google Classroom code for all the subjects for my staff. Right? And so that's how I do my classes. So I'll go online, check what is happening. And I would have parents. I remember a couple weeks ago, I had a parent call, "Sir, what is happening? This teacher has not gone to class. There's nothing. My child said that they have not done any work from morning and whatever. And I said, okay, which class, which teacher? And I just got the code, logged in. And when I checked, the teacher was there. The teacher sent the link, the Google Meet link 3 times, sent the message in the stream that the students to join at X time. I just screenshot it and send it to the parent and ask her child where he was at that particular time and why wasn't he in class.
So it's I don't think sometimes, so in the same way that we're having to adjust, and I say I'm putting myself in the teacher bucket, though I haven't taught a day in 25 years, but I don't think parents are getting it, that, hey, like, we all have to work together. And this is where I think I lost a friend of mine, is because, hey, you have to look at what the end result that we're looking for here. The end result, I made a post a while back and I said, for all you parents and kids out there who think giving teacher a hard time in these virtual classroom is a joke, and for all the parents who need to be checking these kids and not checking them, guess what the winner get? Guess what the grand prize is? The grand prize winner gets to keep the picnic. Who, because they did a farm food in a class when they should have learned and never learned, you still have the picnic. So you get to determine how you want that to look and what you want that to look like.
And Martin, one of the biggest reasons some parents want school to reopen is that they don't realize how hard it is to be a teacher, because they themselves basically have to be supervising their kids at home. So some of them realize how bad them picnic really is.
They want
and realize it, because they have to supervise them, because when the teachers give the work, they will now have to track the students to find out if it is that they did the work, if it is that they submitted and all of that. And they have to do the supervision. So some of the disciplinary issues that we would have in the class, they have to now face it. And I've seen on social media where a lot of parents say, listen, kudos to teachers, because me couldn't do this. Me don't know how to do it. Oak back school. You would have seen some of them last year. Mark, some of those comments.
Yes,
Oak back school right now. We can't do this no more. We're tired of this now.
Famous people too, from some rich.
Yes, because they know, understand, and some person are saying, but this is one child that I have. How you guys do it with 30 and 40 odd?
Yep.
So they are now realizing, and I think what COVID has done is that it has caused a lot more persons to actually appreciate the work that teachers have done, or teachers are doing, and realize it is a lot of work. It is really a lot of work, and I think they took it for granted in the past, and because they now have to be supervising their child or their children, they now realize that, hey, this thing is not as easy as I thought.
If only governments would pay teachers accordingly.
Oh boy.
To make them feel the love, to make them feel the appreciation. You know,
if only.
You mentioned, I had a conversation with somebody that lives here in the US very recently, and I got so worked up they had to check me. And I say, I apologize. It's not you. I have a lot of friends that are teachers. I've been having this conversation for years. So it's not you. It's not you. It's me. It's not you. Now, you mentioned two things just now, Alfred. You mentioned the misconception about the amount of work that needed to be done. What was the second thing?
Where was, so that was one. And also the fact that as it relates to the teachers, a lot, well, I'm still sticking to the side of the teachers. Forgive me for being skewed that way. But the teachers do not have the requisite technology to actually do the teaching. So when you have face-to-face, as schools, we provide the instructional equipment for the teachers. They will have their textbooks and stuff, and they use their content and whatever. The critical thing that the teachers need now to teach and to ensure that learning takes place is a device. So 2 years ago, based on a salary negotiation package from, I think it was in 2017 or 2018, a part of it was that all teachers who were employed in the system then, a part of the salary negotiation would get a tablet. So that's a part of a salary. That has nothing at all to do with COVID now.
Right.
And devices being given to assist with teaching. That was something that was supposed to be given from about 2017, 2018, thereabout.
Well before COVID.
Most of those devices have stopped working. Just think about running a tablet.
Tablets are notorious for stuff.
So persons would have had their personal laptops, those have crashed. And so a lot of the teachers now do not have the requisite devices. I have teachers, I have close to 15 to 20 teachers who are at school every single day teaching from school. One, they don't have devices at home to use. Two, they do not have internet connection at home to use.
Is there a long-term plan for this? Like, is there a long-term plan for getting what we need for what our new normal is? Or
as it relates to what? As it relates to virtual?
To virtual and COVID not going away anytime soon. I
don't think we have the I don't think I should be that extreme to say that we don't have the capability to go fully virtual. It will take a lot because there are a lot of students who still don't have any device, and even some students that you put device in their hand, they do not have access to the internet. So even if you give them a device, they still don't have access. So they are still disadvantaged. So so the thrust, that is why a big part of the thrust from the ministry is to actually try and have face-to-face.
Right. Or they could stop charging people an arm and a leg, even if they want give 2-3 laptop to 2-3 friends in the education system. They want you pay more than the laptop cost for bringing it through customs. Like what? That's
another story. But to be honest, and I must say, you have to give credit where credit is due. Over the last couple of months, the customs officer are not so stringent as they were before. Because I would have had friends who would have brought in 3 and 4 tablets to be distributed. Because I'm a part of a foundation and we distribute tablets. So I would have had friends who come with tablets in the country. When it comes down to laptops, and if it is that let's say you have a donation from an individual or from a company, based, and I would have done this before for an organization that donated devices to my school. I
Right.
write to the ministry, I write to the director of procurement, and give them all the information, and then they write a letter to us stating that it's for the school. We send it to customs, and we actually get waivers for it.
Okay, to have them brought in without having to
So
pay.
yes, we
Okay.
don't having to pay any custom duty. So that is available. It's just that you just need to do the paperwork right to the ministry and get the go ahead. But it is available. That's an option to
That's
avoid
good.
the huge
I did not
custom
know that.
duties.
I did not know that. That
Yeah, man,
actually
that's 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 available. That's available. And
okay.
as I said, they are kind of the custom agents now are kind of relaxed in pressuring persons for persons carrying in multiple devices.
Okay. Good. That's good. That's actually good news right there because I say I'm coming to Jamaica. I want to carry a laptop for Alfred. I want to carry a laptop for Bell or whomever. You know what I mean? And it's really a crime almost when you have to pay just as much as you pay for the laptop just to get the laptop in the country. You know what I mean? All right, Alfred. Anything else you want to share with us before we jump into phase 2 of our show?
Just to say, big up to all the educators. You guys are doing a great job. We know it's not easy. We know it's tough. But continue. As at our school, we have adopted a theme for the school year, and I think based on what is happening, that was why we adopted a theme which says embracing the change while we rise. Our core values form the acronym RISE. So there are a lot of changes, and despite the changes, we just have to embrace them. Because if we want to ensure that our kids are properly catered for, then we have to embrace the changes. So to the parents and the students too, because I mean they're having it rough. You're talking about parents who would have lost their jobs and still have to ensure that their child attains a good education. The kids, it is rough on the kids. I have two high school kids, and I can tell you, I remember in June when the thing came up about summer school, and I called both of them together and I said, what if it is decided that it's mandatory for you to go to summer school? One looked and said, "What, Daddy? Summer school?" Said, "Daddy, I am over online. I want a break. I need to rest my brain."
Press off right
So
now.
yeah, man. So the kids are dealing with it rough. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Sometimes I see my kids get some work and I have to look and say, "My God, this is a lot."
It is a
But
lot.
so we have to look at it. We are going through trying time, but I mean it's a new normal. We just have to embrace the changes. Stick to it. Do what we have to do. For those who have the capability of being vaccinated, and I have to put that in, for those who have the capability, because some persons, because of medical reasons, they may not want to. Some persons, for religious reasons, they may not want to. Say once you have the opportunity, do it, because I mean that's where we're heading.
And it don't make sense to overcomplicate it. It's
Yeah,
it
no
don't make sense
complicated.
to
And
overcomplicate it.
you see Martin, I bet it better going go up now. But watch the people is when they say November 1st or November. Wait until people who want to go foreign. And
Yep.
see. Unless people decide that hey, I'm not going to travel or I do not want a visa. But and one of the things that why I never had any reservation in is that no people are being vaccinated. I went to China in 2017, and to go to Asia you had to be vaccinated, and we
Right.
took it without thinking. Thousands of Jamaicans went on that same program.
Boy, that's a whole nother thing right now where I think
So and the thing is, Martin, when I went to China 2017, this was June 2017. When I landed in Beijing airport, I saw persons wearing masks. Because remember, every
they
year
were
China goes through the flu season. SARS and
Yes.
all those things are regular things in China.
Yes. Mass
So
is
persons are used to wearing masks, and I was shocked then. So I mean, it's not something that is just coming about. Where it is at now? It's the first it has gone so global.
right.
But I mean, we just have to do what we have to do, and to get on with our lives. Simple.
Just to mention real quickly how the other half lives. Both my kids went back to school this school year. They've both been in school, physically in school. All of last year they were online. This year they were back in school. Um, the youngest, she missed a week because what's been happening is school is open, but ever so often a whole class is out or several children have to be out because of contact with someone that actually had contracted COVID. So the youngest had been out twice in contact with one child, and one time her whole class was out. But when they're
Okay.
out, they have the option to do school online. So it just you just essentially you're out today, the work comes to you today, and they have the option to at home. And then when the green light is back again, or you go get tested and you're negative, then they're back in school physically again. And they've done that twice. My eldest has not missed any day of school yet. She has actually been able to attend school the entire time since school reopened, and mass, like you see the school bus pull up at the corner here, and all the kids coming off the school bus, and everybody has their mask on. You know what I mean? It's just it's a new normal. This is the way the world is now, and trying to fight it and trying to make it a political thing when it's not, and trying to make it anything that really is not conducive to us moving forward, it is really just holding us back.
Don't make any sense.
It really
Simple.
doesn't. All right, check this out. Before we jump off this show, we have to read some poetry. We have to talk about some poetry because poetry makes the world go round, man. You know?
Martin, where you get this poem from? This
Which poem are you gonna read? You didn't tell me yet. Which one are you gonna read?
this great
The poem
eras.
called Great Areas. All right, Great Areas. Where my book there? So my book here. Great
Great eras
Areas.
have some great eras have some great eras.
Also, Great Areas is number 18. All right, so if you're wherever you are you joining the show, if you join the show later, Great Areas is number 18 in the book. And my friend Alfred is gonna read it for us, and then we're gonna mix it up a little bit before we jump off here. Whenever you're ready, Miss Sir
So
Alfred,
am
go
I read
ahead.
all of it, or we're just going to do it stanza by stanza?
No
Which
man,
one?
read. You have to read this for the people in first, man.
All right. So it says where what you know meets what you could have been, where you know you shouldn't, yet you jump right in, where the black meets the white, but then not quite, where inhibitions seem to disappear, but just for the night, where the brain says no, but the body says yes. When you wake up, can't remember looking for evidence of sex. When the rules are there, though not defined, when it's all up in the air, waiting on time. When you are not sure if you're coming or going, and it all stands still. When you say that you won't, but then maybe you will. When what you just did for the last time was the third last time. When you'll never think of it again, yet it's on your mind. Where the warning lights are flashing, still you tiptoe in. Where you stop and say a prayer just before you sin. When you hear your mouth speak of things your brain can't decide. When you don't stop yourself slipping through, though you don't want to slide. When your heart isn't, when your heart's not hearing what your brain is saying. When you're weak to the knees, but he's bad for you and you know it. Still, you cherish moments like these.
So what the problem? What the problem? What
Martin, is which female we're talking to, Martin?
what's the problem? Like
Hear me now. Let me just
I
give a
answered the
disclaimer
problem.
here. I asked Martin to select a poem. Martin randomly selected this poem. So let me just throw in that disclaimer.
Uh, well, well, here's the thing,
You
Alfred.
do that.
No,
So
nobody,
somebody say
nobody.
what? Somebody say what complications? That's why this is great. That's why it's called gray areas.
Well, you see, okay, so I think I remember coming up with the concept of gray areas, and if you ask me, I think it's quite brilliant, mate. I don't know why you don't see it. I think it's quite brilliant, personally. But
You see
anyways,
the brilliance? No, Martin, the brilliance is always, my interpretation versus your interpretation of
all
it.
right. Well, before
But
we
the
get
last time we were here, we had two different interpretations of the poem.
okay,
So
well, let's do this.
we,
Let's do this. Let's do this.
yeah.
Based on the scenario or the scenarios described in the poem, what are gray areas?
Well, first of all, it seems as if it's coming from the perspective of, well, it can come either from the perspective of a female or a male. Well, female, it's coming because the last line says where he's bad for you and you know it, which means that it's coming. And I'm deliberately saying a female, and don't get anything twisted. That is where I'm saying. There are no other options. Let me put it plain and straight. You know what I'm talking about, Martin. No
yes,
other
sir,
options.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me
yes,
just put that right out there. No other options. So yeah, it just sounds as if there are some gray areas. There are some things being considered. Persons know that this may be dangerous or it is outside of what is supposed to be done. And one part of them is saying it shouldn't be done, but there's another part that's saying, hey, let it be done.
I think my favorite line.
That's my overall interpretation.
I think my favorite line in this poem, it says, when what you did for the last time was the third last time. But we'll get there. What I want you to do for me, I'm going to reread stanza 1. And I want you to give me a real life scenario that kind of captures the sentiment expressed in stanza 1. Stanza 1 says, where what you know meets what could have been, where you know you shouldn't, yet you jump right in. 2 little lines.
I mean, for this, I am not even looking at the overall nature of the poem itself. I'm looking at a general situation scenario well, from an educator's perspective, a student among his or her friends, right? Persons have weed. They know that they're not supposed to smoke the weed. They know. So you know that where you know you shouldn't. So the child from the everything being said by parents said don't smoke weed, whatever. Said don't smoke weed or whatever. But you know you're on your friends and your friends then beat you up and you know you're not supposed to do it. They just jump right in, chop. It's just for the moment. They just do it. Okay. But you know you shouldn't. Right? You know you shouldn't, you know there'll be consequences of you doing it. But you do it.
Sounds about right.
Because you just want to find out what could have been. Maybe you want to find out what a high feels like. Maybe that's it. So I'll use that scenario.
All right. I like it.
So Richie put it in the comment that dog house to me. So I'm being cautious.
Yeah, great areas. Could be right, could be wrong. Feelings versus logic. I like that. I like that too. Yeah, feelings versus logic. All right, let's do the same thing for stanza 4. Stanza 4 says, when the rules are there, though not quite defined, when it's all up in the air waiting on time, when you're not sure if you're coming or going and it all stands still, when you say you won't, but then maybe you will. Real life scenario for this, real life example of this scenario.
I wonder if I can use about the same weed scenario. Yeah, so the rules are there. So you know, as a child, you're not or let's use a school perspective. You know that it's against the rule of the school to smoke weed. But so you know the rules. But you can say that there's some ambiguity in it, that it says don't smoke weed, but it never said don't smoke weed off campus. So you find a loophole. So you find a loophole. You find a loophole. So you say, all right, so you and your friends them leave school and go wanna find somewhere, and that is where you go. So yeah, so you definitely know that the rules are there. You know that your parents have your rules not to do it, but you find a way of putting some loophole in there. Yeah, some technicality, and find a loophole. What other stanza say? And it's done. When you're not sure if you're coming or going.
And it all stands
still.
But
before you jump in, because normally once it is that you are doing something that you know really and truly not supposed to do it, there's always
Richard does say I step on into you below him.
But there's all, you see, when you're going into the gray areas in there are always a lot of things happening in your mind. So the mind fighting, one side of the mind, brain fighting each other, So one side I said don't do it, the other side said do it.
It's like
Hey,
purpose driven says
yeah,
feelings
man.
versus logic.
Yeah, take a risk, take a risk. So your feelings say, let me go ahead with this, but logic say no, me know it wrong or whatever. It's not supposed to happen. But then again, the feelings take over.
All right, let's get right into this then. Stanza 6 deals with a situation most people don't like to admit to themselves. What are some of the reasons behind situations like this? I'll reread stanza 6. It says, when the warning lights are flashing, still you tiptoe in. When you stop and say a prayer just before you sin. When you hear your mouth speak of things your brain can't decide. When you don't stop yourself slipping, though you don't want to slide. Now it says, oh, go ahead.
You know the dangers of what you're getting into. There's like, you know the dangers. You would see it, you would visualize it, so you know, all right, this can happen, that can happen. But then again, the other side of the brain is saying, yo, but go ahead, it may feel good or whatever. You know, so you're gonna feel good by doing it. So that is a problem. So it's the war between both sides of the brain, the feeling versus the emotions. So that is where the battle is. So but you see the flashing lights, you know, because maybe you'd have seen other persons been in the situation. So you know what may happen, but you decide that, listen, I mean, the emotions is telling, listen, go experience it. Go experience it for yourself. And then you have the thought in your back of your mind, oh, it may happen to that person maybe because they never did it they did that particular way. But maybe if you do it and do it right, so to speak, you may not have the same issues. So you're still going, even though you know that it may end up a particular way. You still take the chance again because the emotions take over.
Well, purpose driven seems to think that life would be very boring without gray areas. She's saying
perfect.
That's where you're trying to.
She sounds like somebody who is right on the edge. But she has a point, Yeah, no, but the truth, she has a point. I mean, you have to take some chance. You have to take chances in life. I mean, you're right. You have to take some chances in life. I mean, yeah, man, you have to take chances. So she's right. If you're always going to be being this perfect person, always doing this thing, then you're right. It's going boring and monotonous. So
so you have
take some chances.
You have to say a prayer just before you sin, like one of the lines says.
Yeah, pray to God that nothing that the extreme where you know may happen don't happen.
Oh boy.
But you know, because the end result, if it goes right, you are going to be happy.
Right.
And is it happiness you want,
Boy, does
is it happiness you want, Is it happiness you want? And that's what you're trying to work towards, But you know that though one of the possibilities of the end result is extreme happiness, extreme pleasure, if things go wrong, you're gonna have issues.
Yep.
But then because the emotions kick in now, the lure of the happiness far supersede and take over.
Potential risk.
Yeah, man, the potential risk. Say it does work with it.
All right, I feel you. All right, bless up yourself, Richard. He says this is good stuff. Jenny is my friend. We used to jump the wall together, go buy a coffee strip over crusty. Bless up yourself. That's another story for another time. All right, now stanza 7, and we're moving right along. And I'm gonna reread it in a second. But stanza 7, let's look at stanza 7. It said, do you think this is a real thing? Do people do this? Stop and say a prayer before they sin. Is this a thing for people?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a quick prayer. When you say God do not make nothing bad happen, I mean that's your prayer. Already in mind, you just have hope. You just have hope to God nothing goes wrong. Or as I said earlier, the extreme that you're thinking of, you just hope it doesn't happen. But but you are always going to see the flashing lights, and the flashing lights are the things that are telling you, yo, slow down. This is dangerous. There's danger. But I mean, just as with a stoplight, you are coming close to a stoplight. You are on a highway, and I've been through a few of them this evening. I went on the road to buy gas, and you see it. You're coming, you see a green light, and you're going at a particular speed within within the regulations. So you're going at the speed, and you see the amber, but you know the speed that you're going at, it's difficult to slow down. So you see the danger. Danger is the amber for you to know that, hey, a red light coming up. But you know, so the red light, but you say, listen, the speed at which you're going, you know that you may not make it. You know you may not make it, but you just say, you know what, me I gotta make this. You know, explore it. Though you know of the consequences, you know, if it is that when you reach there, the red. But police is close by.
And you might with the accident. I got that halo for you. I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying. So in that moment, you say to yourself, God, do make it keep on amber. Make it keep on amber. I mean, that's a practical example.
Yeah. I got one for you too. Just like Richard said, hey Marla, how you doing? I got one for you too. It's like when somebody drink and they drink too much and they feel sick and they're like, God, if you get me through this, I never drink again. If you get me through this, I never drink.
Yeah, man. That's that's like Richardo and Virginella. Typical thing. Them drink and mash up and then them tell it, and then you will see, because we have our group chat, see them say, oh, nah, drink again, never. That's it. That's it. Stop drink. And then the next day.
As soon as they sober up. As soon as
next day back at it. But so I guess that's the lore. You know what may happen. You know, say you're gonna drink and drunk and you're gonna have the hangover, but you still do it because what?
All right, now what stanza of the poem speaks to you directly? Why? What's your favorite stanza?
I think it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Read it for me here.
I gave I said 6. 6 says what you did for the last time was your third to last time, when you will never think of it again, yet it is on your mind.
No, it's not. Hold on, it's not third to last time, you know. Is it third last time?
Third last time, yeah, third last time.
What you did for the last time, this is when you say, Lord, if you get me through this, me nah drink again.
Yeah, man. Then that's why we said that, because that's why we pick it. Martin, that's why I picked it, because that is applicable to a lot of persons who are here. Yeah, and it's something that's happening a lot to my friends. It would have happened to me. I mean, you come out and you go somewhere and you're under a vibe and you're there enjoying yourself, and when you reach home, rough, and the next day is rough, headache and hangover and all sort of something, and you say to yourself, no sir, I'm not doing this again, I'm not doing this again. Never again.
Here's the thing. The last line, or the last couple lines of the poem says, when he's bad for you, you know it, still you cherish moments like these. Based on that last stanza, why do people cherish moments like these?
Because of the rush, because of the enjoyment. You have something to talk about. So if I use the example of the what I just used, I mean, you're somewhere, you're enjoying yourself with a friend. You know what may happen, you know. You know what may happen, but you are caught up in the moment because you're enjoying yourself. You're out with your friends and whatever. You're doing all of that, and you know what may happen if you imbibe too much. But you just in the vibe, so you just continue doing it and you just work with the moment. So
exactly.
Martin,
what are my people?
The link to purchase the book.
Yeah, one of my peoples we're watching, we'll have the link. Share it for a minute, or I'll share when I'm done. Because the gray area is usually fun, though dangerous. Yeah, you want point today, purpose driven, you on it, boy.
Yeah, man. You know it's dangerous, you know. But there is as I said, there's a sense of satisfaction and you enjoy being it. Listen, nobody who is in the gray area is sad. I can guarantee you that. Regardless of the situation, whatever area you want to put it, whether it is in a relationship, whether it is in friendship, whether it is in whatever, it is enjoyable. And that is where the lure is, because it is something that is enjoyable. You're going to be happy while you're in the gray area. But the should I do it or shouldn't I do it, and the consequences to all of that. And it's because if it is so enjoyable and it is fun and you're so happy by being in that gray area, which is what
somebody said gray areas are necessary. That's the comment I want to suggest based on the person who placed that comment.
But remember, no, it depends on what you call gray areas, you know. Remember, gray areas is pushing the envelope, you know. So they're yeah, it's about fun, it's about enjoyment. And then somebody said life would be boring without gray areas.
True.
Because I mean, you may have, let's say you grew up a particular way, and there are certain things where you're exposed to, there are certain things where you don't want to do, and then you go into a gray area. That is normally where the gray area comes about, you know. You are socialized a particular way and you do things a particular way, and then hey, here comes these things that you are not used to. And the gray area normally involves things that you are not normally used to. So there's something that you're trying out and whatever. But
now can you see the thing?
So me tell about our brother Martin here. I'm going, let's go gray.
Let's go.
Me tell us that pure trouble I'm gonna give Martin.
Well, hey, we already established that gray areas are necessary. You know,
yes,
gray areas are necessary. So
they're necessary part of human existence.
We said they're necessary. We said they're fun. We say all kind of things about gray areas. Now, let me ask you this before we wrap this up. How does one get themselves out of a gray area?
Well, again,
gray shortly. You're going dark,
it's for the person to get out of the gray area. It's the way the pros and cons. Are you willing to take the chance? Is the lure or the emotions or the excitement that comes with being in the gray area or being involved in the act, is it worth it? Versus the consequence. If you are in the gray area and you actually stay in the gray area and the unfortunate does happen, can you deal with the consequence? Right. So when you weigh all of that, and if it is that you're coward and you really can't, that's when you come out of it. It's actually thinking about whether or not you can manage the consequences of
Sorry, don't mind me. This is me multitasking.
Yeah. So it's actually I think that's the only way you can come out of it. You know, when you look at the consequences and you look at it and say, listen, can I really handle the consequences?
Well, but at the same time,
or is it really worth it?
Okay, so if I recall, when I wrote this poem, I wanted to capture everything that we spoke about. I wanted to capture some realness. I wanted to capture some real life situations where people kind of put themselves in and realize that, yeah, remember now, you know, like I said, my favorite line of the poem is where what you did for the last time was the third last time. This is when you're done, you know. Mind you know, this is after you're done. You're done. You dash it down. You're done.
You've done it 2 or 3 times. And you're still done it.
The next time when you reach it, you say, yeah.
We're done.
We're done. Do it again. We're done.
Not gonna happen.
This is it. But somehow, 3 times later, you find yourself, I've done the same thing when you've done 3 times ago, and you've done the same thing again. So there has to be some lure about it.
And you know why the first would lead to the second? Because after the first, there were no consequences. So the extreme consequence that that is an option never occurred. So you say, okay, fine, not never happened. This wasn't bad. So you go again. And the same thing happened. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you say like 40, we call it 40 shades of grey or 30 shades of grey. How you go?
Yeah, man, the shades, different shades. Yeah, man. That was the extreme still. Yeah, man. That was the extreme. That was the extreme.
I've never seen that movie. I need to get around to it at some point.
Yeah, I hear that there are a whole heap of shades of green. I've never seen it either, but I hear it's very great.
Yeah. All right, I think Richard, I think somebody put the link in there. I've been trying to put the link in there myself. But the link to my website is on there, and the website should have a purchase now option linked on there, and that should take you directly to where it is on Amazon. If you're in Jamaica, then it should be at Fontana Pharmacy in Kingston, Mine Level, and Montego Bay. All right. All right, Mr. Thomas, before you leave, left something with you, know? Give me a nugget to walk with, no? Whether about the poem, whether about education, whether about anything you just want to share, being a Renaissance man is in own right. In his own right.
You see, my thing is, and I've been saying today, well, at the conference that I'm at, I hosted one of the sessions, and it's something that I told all the principals and vice principals that were listening on. With what is happening with COVID, it is rough. It's rough. Mm-hmm. It's putting a lot of strain on persons mentally. And a lot of persons are making sacrifices, and a lot of persons are doing this and they are doing that. And for a lot of persons, self-care is not of paramount importance. So they try to assist everybody around them. And so one of the things that I've been saying to persons who I interact with is that, hey, you cannot pour from an empty glass.
True.
So you are helping everybody when you want help. So you have this bottle full, and everybody come to you, you pour some out, you pour some out, you pour some out. What are you doing to replenish the bottle? Because you can't pour, you don't have infinite water in you, in the bottle. So personally, you can't help everybody. You cannot help everybody. So you are helping, you are assisting, you are work. You cannot help everybody. So, and even if you are helping, what are you doing to get your help too? So a lot of persons, they put their personal things aside and their personal health aside, and they help everybody, and they are draining. So, I mean, I'll say it. I mean, you can't pour from an empty glass. Take care of yourself. Self-preservation is critical. And I would have said it the last time to Martin. So you know it is something that you know it's something.
I had a show 2 weeks ago. I worked a show 2 weeks ago that was about work-life balance.
Yeah, man.
It was about making sure that you're taking the necessary steps to make sure.
It's something that I actually tell my staff that, listen, you have to take care of yourself. Self-care is necessary. And you can't, the thing is too, you can't depend on persons to take care of you.
Right.
You have to take care of yourself. You love yourself first. Take care of yourself. To ensure that, because if you don't not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody. So even though your intention is to help the world, if you are not okay, if you are dead, you can't help nobody. If you're sick and lie down in the hospital, you can't help nobody.
True.
So take care of yourself. Do the things that makes you happy. Stop stress out yourself about COVID. It's not gonna away. Try learn to deal with it.
True.
Try learn to deal with it. Ensure that you have good people around you. That's critical at this time. Nobody with a loner business, because depression is on the rise. So ensure that you have people around you who will help you, will support you. I will just make you laugh. So I have some friends, some of them are on here, that sometimes we just chat all sort of foolishness. Richard is there. Man, him cuss every day. So we but you have people around us. Some of them are in here. Richard, Marla, and I know a lot of others are watching. Simone, Monster. A lot of them are watching. So we're in our group every day we chat all sort of things, and it helps each of us take our minds off the different things that we're going through. Yeah, so have good people around you. Nobody try to do this alone. You cannot do this alone. Depression is going to kick in at some point in time. And understand that, listen, COVID not going nowhere. So you just deal with it. Do you have to deal with it and live your life and be safe? Simple.
All right, my brother. Bless up yourself.
And to ensure that you always have a smile on your face, and you're happy. Don't forget the gray areas.
You see?
Yeah, gray areas are necessary. Gray
areas are necessary. You see?
Yeah, man.
Gray areas will help you get through COVID stress, friends. You know what I mean? That's why we start off. So
I see Richard is saying hi, Simone. Simone, what's up? How is Las Vegas?
Simone, they have Vegas. She go
Yeah,
on.
man. Simone, they have Vegas, man.
She go on in. See, Maxi K. Bocha, New York, agree. Both say great areas are necessary. You know, see,
But Martin, and I realize that everybody agrees that gray areas are necessary.
I mean, right? They told me now to convince me.
All right. No, but I'm saying the persons who are commenting, all of them are saying that. I have not heard one person objecting that they don't like the gray area.
Yeah. Is it okay?
That says a lot. That says a lot, don't Martin. But let's leave that alone.
we're not gonna touch I'm not gonna touch what the address is, mate. I'm not gonna touch it.
All right, boss.
All right, my brethren, brace up yourself.
Bless up.
Our brethren and friend, that was Mr. Alfred Thomas. I like having Alfred on the show. Like I said, I genuinely appreciate his opinion. He's a very, very smart guy. I always like to hear what he has to say. He always surprises me because I don't think I gave him enough credit myself just how brilliant he is. But he's a really, really, really smart guy. And I thank him for taking the time out from his conference to join the show today. Yeah, life is great to some extent, said Richardo, because we've been there more time than we care to admit. Sharing this saying, Martin's finally admitting to one of his poems. I never admitted to anything. You're trying to put words in my mouth. I did not admit to anything. I don't know, between you and who was it that day when I had G. Cole on the show? I had G. Cole on the show. I rewatched that show recently, and it was you and some renewed healthcare. Both of y'all were coming for me that day, man. Anyways, folks, thank y'all for being with us. We've been on here for an hour and 10 minutes. Y'all still hanging in there. I genuinely appreciate that. This was our first episode in season 2. I have some really great guests coming up for you guys. I'm also going to do some individual shows so we can really get into some things. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for asking about the link for the book. If y'all don't have the book yet, go check it out. That was just one poem in the book. That's Great Areas, right? This book have like 50 something poems in there, and they're all lit, just as lit as Great Areas. Mr. Alfred Thomas, thank you for being my guest tonight, sir, and thank you for representing in the way you did. And all the Michael people out there, all the Manchester High School people out there, everybody out there from the Martin Matthews Project, big up on yourself.